For the third time in 7 games, the Comets were set to battle against a familiar foe, the New York Liberty. So far, they were 0-2. Their earlier encounters happened within a week of each other. The Comets fell in overtime in Houston and lost by 5 2 days ago. But Houston wasn't about to kneel in defeat a third time. The Comets came out firing, and within 6 minutes had a 10-point lead. They led by as much as 12 points, and by halftime, the Liberty found some life and narrowed the deficit to 5, with a 3 at the buzzer by Rhonda Blades, her only basket of the game. The Liberty kept the fire ablaze coming out of halftime. They tied the game 35-all, with We Got Next star Rebecca Lobo hitting a 3-pointer, assisted by Sophia Witherspoon. The Liberty forced a turnover, and Kim Hampton drove to the basket to take the lead, 37-35. Houston's Fran Harris buried a 3 to take the lead back, 38-37. However, the Comets wouldn't score for the next 5 minutes of the game. Closing in on the last 10 minutes of play, the game would be an intense back and forth, the deficit for either team not extending past 4 points. That is, until the Liberty were done playing around, and as fouls, turnovers, and a collection of missed shots piled up for the Comets, the Liberty took over. Even with Cynthia Cooper's buzzer-beating 3, the Comets lost decisively again. But that's not the story people would remember of the 1997 Houston Comets. In fact, these early losses allowed for a spark off the bench to ignite into a powerful blaze. Cooper was not in panic mode, she said.
Despite the early losses, I wasn't overly concerned. I knew we had a long season ahead of us.
Welcome to Fire and White, a podcast that ignites stories about legends of women's basketball. The Boston Celtics, New York Islanders, Montreal Canadiens, New York Yankees twice, and the Houston Comets. They all have something in common. They're the only teams in sports history to have won at least 4 championships in a row. Like all teams this inaugural year, the Comets consisted of an all-rookie squad. They would cement themselves as a rare team in sports history, earning the ultra-rare moniker, a dynasty. Despite the early losses, the Comets also had some decisive wins, earning them respect in the W. On June 21st, for Houston's first ever game, they played the Cleveland Rockers with the final score 76-56. The heart and courage we showed after that game began to turn doubters into believers. The Comets set the tone for the 1997 season, said Cynthia Cooper, who poured in 25 points. But she didn't do it alone. Brazilian star Janeth Arcane added 16 points, and the WNBA's first ever first-round pick, Tina Thompson, had 13. The Comets were still learning who would be the go-to player. You had Cynthia Cooper, a 2-time NCAA champion with USC, Olympic gold medalist, prolific professional international player, who averaged 45 points per game in her first professional year overseas. You had another We Got Next star, the first player to sign a WNBA contract, and the female Michael Jordan, Cheryl Swoops, winner of Naismith College Player of the Year, NCAA champion at Texas Tech, where she scored a whopping 47 points, and Olympic gold medalist with the 1996 Dream Team. She missed the first 19 games of the season after giving birth to her son on June 25th. It was not commonplace as it is today to be a working mom, and Cheryl came back just 43 days later, helping the Comets defeat the Phoenix Mercury. The Comets also had the first pick in the draft, and they chose USC standout and true rookie to professional basketball Tina Thompson, who averaged nearly 20 points per game over her 4-year college career. And when we talk about the Comets, we gotta talk about the heartbeat of the team. Kim Perrott from University of Louisiana. Perrott once scored 58 points in a game, the third most in NCAA history. She wasn't drafted. Instead, she showed up to a local tryout with over 200 other contenders. Perrott earned her spot the hard way. Thompson and Swoops talked about how important she was to the team, being the glue that every team needs to find success on the court. And Perrott, according to Cooper, was the originator of the famous "raise the roof."
My coach is a lucky man to have me on his team,
said Perrott after a game. Coach replied,
"Good, Coach, tell the truth."
I think, Perrott, I'm a lucky man to be your coach.
That's right.
I'm a lucky man.
After getting blown out by Los Angeles, and with their win-loss record dropping to 7-5, Cynthia Cooper decided to have a private meeting with Coach Van Chancellor, who spent the last 19 years coaching at Ole Miss. Cooper had been overshadowed early in her playing career at USC and in Olympic or world play. She spent way too much time on the Pine and was referred to as a spark off the bench ad nauseum. She describes her experience as a professional in Italy.
The limited person I had been all my life underwent a transformation.
The spark had ignited into an unquenchable blaze. WNBA President Val Ackerman, along with other WNBA officials, as they were assigning players to teams and forming the league, also underestimated Cooper, saying, "None of us realized just how good Cynthia Cooper was." Cooper wanted to ask Coach Van if she could take on a bigger role. She was confident she could lead the Comets to success. Coach Van told her, "Coop, play your game." It was Coop's and the Comets' time to shine. She averaged 35 points per game over the next stretch, and with the Comets' stifling defense led by Kim Perrott, they finished as the top seed with an 18-10 record. The playoff format this year featured 4 teams with 1-game series each. In the first round, the Comets handled the Charlotte Sting, beating them 70-54. Cooper led the game with 31 points while Perrott pushed the team to dig deep to pull out the decisive win. They were set to meet the New York Liberty again, who beat their opponent, the Phoenix Mercury, 59-54 for the first ever WNBA Finals. The Liberty proved to be a formidable opponent against the Comets so far this year. They were led by Teresa Weatherspoon, who was both an NCAA champion and Olympic gold medalist in 1988. She led the WNBA in assists and steals this year. And as New York rolled into the summit in Houston, they were 3-1 against them so far. They were confident and poised to be the first ever champion of the WNBA. They were met with a raucous crowd of over 16,000 fans, passionately roaring against them. We were all fighting for our lives because we didn't know what the future was going to be like. There was pressure to put on a great show because you wanted people to come back, said Tina Thompson, talking about that 1997 season. And fight they did, a battle to go down in history. New York's starting 5 had Teresa Weatherspoon and Vicki Johnson in the backcourt, with Rebecca Lobo, Sophia Witherspoon, and Kim Hampton in the front court. Houston's starting 5 consisted of Cynthia Cooper, Kim Perrott, and Jeanette Arcane in the backcourt, and Tina Thompson and Wanda Guyton in the front court. Before the game, Coach Chancellor talked about history and greatness. Not every day you get a chance to be a part of history. History won't mean anything to you if you don't go out and play hard and the very best you can. The game tipped off and Guyton tapped it toward Perrott, who threw it to Arcane. Arcane found an opening and buried a 12-foot midi to open the score. A couple possessions later, Weatherspoon stole the ball and attacked the rim. The game was tied, but only for 48 seconds until Cynthia Cooper got the ball and attacked the rim to go up by 2. The Comets would never give up the lead after that. The game was competitive, however. New York would not go away, and they would get the game within 1 to 2 points a couple times in the first half. But the Comets would take back control, and you'd have Cooper respond with a jump shot or runner, or Perrott with a 3, and Thompson having her way in the paint and the mid-range. The buzzer sounded, and the first ever WNBA champions had been crowned. As they wore their champions t-shirts and celebrated mid-court, Kim Perrott started doing her famous raise the roof. Wanda Guyton got caught up in the moment while holding the trophy and embraced an emotional Tammy Jackson. Cynthia Cooper fed off the crowd, barely containing herself. She said,
"I love them. They had been there all season. They stuck with us even when our record was barely over 500.
WNBA President Val Ackerman reached midcourt and presented the playoff MVP to Cynthia Cooper, who shared in the glory with her teammates and her mother. "I think we're showing that girls can live out their dreams if they set their mind to doing something and don't put limits on themselves," said Cooper. This game represented so much more than just a win or the crowning of a champion. This marked the beginning of the greatest women's basketball league in history and the dawn of one of the greatest dynasties in sports. The Comets weren't only making history, they were rewriting it. Thank you for joining us on this journey with the 1997 Houston Comets. We hope to inspire even more exploration into this team. If you found this episode to be entertaining or inspiring, please subscribe and review Fire and White on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep the fire burning and the game alive.